Natural disasters often come without any warning and destroy everything in their path. Flash floods are one of these natural disasters and can be extremely deadly. The rapid flow of raging water in low-lying areas that rises due to a dam break, heavy rainfall, or excessive discharge of high water in rivers can cause flash floods. These events put people's lives, belongings, property, and environment at high risk and can lead to fatalities, geographical destruction, and homelessness. Due to the number of factors that contribute to flood risk, flash floods are difficult to forecast. We listed the top 8 deadliest flash floods in history according to the devastation they caused. Number 1. 1931 China floods. This set of floods is also referred to as the 1931 Yangtze River floods. After a drought from 1928 to 1930, the area of the Yangtze and Huai rivers received a lot of snowfall. When it started to melt in early 1931, the extra water flowed down the river, along with still melting ice and snow. Then heavy continual rains for months caused the rivers to rise even more. Starting in June, people living in low-lying areas had to evacuate due to flooding. Then in July, 9 cyclone storms, similar to hurricanes, hit the region, adding more downpours to the situation. The area received 2 feet of rain in 1 month. This caused flooding the size of the country of England, approximately 69,000 square miles. It severely affected 8 different provinces and had more moderate effects in many others. Overall, 150,000 people died as a direct result of drowning in the floods. However, an additional 2 million people reportedly died as a result of not being able to get food or other life necessities. The flood also caused a cholera outbreak the following year. This is a bacterial illness caused by drinking dirty water, which people in the affected area were likely doing since they lacked access to resources. Up to 100,000 additional deaths were caused by this outbreak. Some estimates put the total number of deaths from this months-long flood at nearly 4 million. Number 2. 1887 Yellow River Flood. Over 900,000 people were killed in the 1887 flood on the Yellow River in China. Part of what made this flood worse was the fact that Chinese farmers would build dikes along the river to protect their crops. This caused the overall level of the river to rise because it could not deposit silt during usual smaller floods. This flood affected over 50,000 square miles. 2 million people lost their homes. It is estimated that an additional 900,000 people died after the floods due to a lack of access to food, clean water, and health care. Overall, experts estimate that at least 3 million people died from this flood. Number 3. 1938 Yellow River Flood. In 1938, the Chinese military opened up levees on the Yellow River to prevent the advancement of the Japanese army, which had taken control of northern China. It is not known exactly how many, but many Japanese soldiers died in the flooding. However, it also affected the local communities. It is estimated that 800,000 to 900,000 people died in total. However, that number is not certain. In the war-torn villages, many government officials had already left, so official counts were not always done. The surrounding area was deeply affected for several years following the flooding. The fields were covered in silt, so they were not as fertile. A lot of structures were destroyed. This is considered one of the most significant acts of environmental warfare to ever occur. The river was not returned to its earlier course until 1947. Number 4. 1975 Banqiao Dam Failure. During Typhoon Nina, a Category 3 storm, over a year's worth of rainfall, about 3.5 feet, for the area fell in just one day on August 7, 1975. The dam had been built to withstand a 1-in-1,000-year rainfall event of about 1 foot. Due to the dam breaking, the People's Liberation Army purposely had to destroy other dams further downstream to control the flooding. Even so, dikes on the Quan River failed. The resulting flooding caused anywhere from 85,000 to 240,000 deaths. Entire towns, like the Dawenching commune, were entirely wiped out. Due to the technology of the time and the weather conditions, warnings were not received or were misunderstood. Many people in the area did not have a telephone at this time, so signals were attempted via telegraph and flares. People acting as messengers to take the warning to towns in person often got caught up in the floods. Number 5. 1935 Yangtze Flood. This event followed just a few years after the devastating 1931 floods in the region. Much of the infrastructure that had been rebuilt was damaged once again, and a lot of the measures that had been put in place to reduce flood risks were overcome. That year, there were a high number of typhoons off the coast of China. This may have created a sudden rise in the river levels on July 6, 1935. Several levees broke, and other areas became flooded when the river spilled over its banks. Over 140,000 people died as a result of the flood. Even more died afterward from starvation. The previous year had been a drought, which meant there were fewer crops than usual. This flood affected over 5,500 square miles of farmlands, further reducing the available food in the area. Others died from diseases that spread as a result of the flooding. Number 6. 1530 Street Felix's Flood. Just so I don't single out China too much, let's also talk about the 6th deadliest flood in the world. This flood happened on November 5, 1530 in the Netherlands. It was named for that day's name day, Street Felix. Another name for this flood is Evil Saturday or Bad Saturday. Estimates put the number of dead at 100,000. It happened in the Dutch province of Zeeland. Part of the area was reclaimed by the sea and could not be recovered. In 1532, another flood occurred in the area, destroying the recovery efforts from this 1530 flood. Because it happened so long ago, there aren't quite as many details available about this flood, but we do know it was devastating and deadly. Number 7. India. August 11, 1979 was probably one of the most horrible days in the history of India, as one of the deadliest flash floods of all time took place. The flood occurred in the state of Gujarat. The Machu Dam burst with rainwater after holding it for many days, causing 12 and 13 feet high waves that destroyed the low-lying areas beneath the dam. Water covered the city of Morbi within 20 minutes, which caused a horrific number of deaths, totaling around 1,800 to 2,500 people. Additionally, the destruction of properties, agricultural lands, and crops caused widespread suffering. Therefore, the Guinness Book of World Records calls this tragedy the worst dam break event in history. Number 8. Big September Rain. The horrific event of Big September Rain occurred from September 22 to 23, 2006. Also known as the Bluegrass Flood of 2006, this harsh weather affected Louisville and the southeastern United States. Officials closed the interstate and Monon Road in Orange County, and the bridge of Cooperstown was impossible to cross. Indiana, Logan County, North Russellville, and Kentucky were also underwater. The water was 6 inches in some areas based on radar and personal accounts. Indiana saw 2.5 inches of rain in just an hour. According to rain gauges, the damage was extensive. Rampant flooding destroyed property totaling $1 million. Residents evacuated their apartments and homes in Louisville, as many were forced to flee very quickly in order to survive, leaving their houses, belongings, and cattle at the mercy of surging water. After the flood of March 1997, the September rain was the deadliest rain flood in history. Half a dozen people died. That's all I have for you guys for today. If you liked watching this video, please make sure to click the like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell icon so that you may be notified when we upload a new video. Thanks for watching.